Do dogs really understand what we're saying? Experts reveal. In 2019, the world lost not just a border collie, but possibly the most intelligent animal that ever lived. Her name was Chaser, and she could understand over 1,000 words. More than any primate, more than most toddlers, and probably more than some adults after their morning coffee. But here's what will blow your mind. Recent brain scans reveal that when you talk to your dog, their brain lights up in almost the exact same way a human brain does. They're literally understanding you on a neurological level that science never thought possible. If you enjoy fascinating insights like this and want to see more, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. The dog who changed everything we thought we knew. Picture this. It's Christmas 2003, and retired psychology professor Dr. John Pilley receives an unexpected gift from his wife Sally. Not a sweater, not a book, a tiny border collie puppy with eyes full of mischief. Little did they know this 8-week-old furball would revolutionize our understanding of animal intelligence forever. You see, Dr. Pilley had spent decades studying animal behavior, and like most scientists of his era, he believed dogs were smart but limited. They could learn commands, sure, but truly understanding language? That was supposedly reserved for humans and maybe a few exceptional primates. But this little puppy, who earned the name Chaser because she'd chase anything that moved, was about to prove every textbook wrong. What happened next sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but I promise you, every word is documented scientific fact. Dr. Pilley made a decision that would consume the next 3 years of his life. He would teach Chaser human language, one word at a time. But this wasn't casual dog training. This was systematic, scientific, and absolutely obsessive. 4 to 5 hours every single day, Dr. Pilley would work with Chaser using a technique called errorless learning. Here's how it worked. He'd take a blue ball, say blue ball dozens of times while showing it to her, then throw it and say, catch blue ball. On day 3, he'd hide the ball in another room and ask her to find blue ball. Only when she could retrieve that specific object from anywhere in the house would he move on to the next item. The results were nothing short of extraordinary. By 5 months old, Chaser had learned 40 words and stored them in her long-term memory. But then something magical happened. She had what Dr. Pilley called her aha moment. Chaser suddenly realized that everything had a name. When Dr. Pilley said, "This is," she learned that he was about to name something new. From that point on, her learning exploded. 200 words at 7.5 months, 700 words at 18 months, and by 3 years old, she knew 1,022 individual words, each one mapped to a specific toy, ball, or frisbee in her collection. But here's where it gets really incredible. Chaser wasn't just memorizing sounds like a biological tape recorder. She was actually understanding language structure. She could distinguish between nouns and verbs, understanding that touch ball meant something completely different from fetch ball. She grasped categories, knowing that toy referred to her entire collection, while ball meant only the round objects. Most mind-blowing of all, she could learn new words through reasoning. Scientists would place 3 objects in front of her. 2 she knew, and 1 completely new. When asked to find something with a name she'd never heard, she'd pick the new object, reasoning that it must be the one with the unfamiliar name. When astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson visited to test her abilities, he brought a Darwin doll that Chaser had never seen before. "Chaser, find Darwin," he said. Without hesitation, she went to the other room, searched through her massive pile of 1-22 toys, and returned with the Darwin doll in her mouth. She had figured out that this new word must belong to the new object. Think about what this means for your own dog. Right now, as you're watching this, your furry friend might be sitting there understanding far more of your words than you ever imagined. That guilty look when you say vet, the excitement when you whisper walk, the way they seem to know exactly what you're thinking. Scientists have discovered that the average dog can learn between 150 to 250 words. Some breeds, particularly herding dogs like Border Collies, German Shepherds, and Australian Shepherds, can learn even more. But here's the kicker. It's not just about breed. Age, training, and how much you actually talk to your dog makes a massive difference. I want you to think about this for a moment. How many words does your dog know? Really think about it. Count them. Sit, stay, walk, treat, dinner, outside, car, vet, bath. I bet you'll be surprised by how many you come up with. Drop a comment below and tell me your dog's vocabulary count. I read and respond to every single comment because I'm genuinely curious about your experiences. But Chaser's story raises a question that kept Dr. Pilley awake at night, and it should fascinate you too. Was Chaser actually understanding these words the way humans do, or was she just an incredibly sophisticated sound-matching machine? Was there real comprehension happening in that furry head, or was it all just very convincing behavioral conditioning? The answer to that question required scientists to do something that sounds absolutely crazy. They had to look directly into living, awake dog brains while the dogs were listening to human speech. And what they discovered there changed everything we thought we knew about the minds of our four-legged companions. The truth is far more extraordinary than anyone dared to imagine, and it's happening right inside your dog's head every time you speak to them. But to understand how incredible this really is, we need to dive into some groundbreaking neuroscience that will completely change how you see your furry best friend. If you're enjoying these mind-blowing revelations about our canine companions, hit that subscribe button because there's so much more fascinating science to explore together. The most incredible scientific challenge ever attempted. Imagine trying to convince your dog to lie perfectly still inside a loud, cramped, vibrating metal tube for 30 minutes while scientists peer into their brain. Sounds impossible, right? Well, a team of brilliant researchers in Hungary thought the same thing until they decided to try anyway. What they discovered inside those canine minds literally rewrote the textbooks on animal intelligence. Dr. Attila Andix and his team at Lorand University faced what seemed like an insurmountable problem. They had a theory that dogs might process human language similarly to humans, but proving it required functional MRI brain scans. The problem? MRI machines are terrifying even for humans. They're noisy, claustrophobic, and require absolute stillness. Most humans need medication to stay calm inside them. But these scientists were determined. They spent months training dogs using positive reinforcement, teaching them that the MRI machine was actually a fun place to be. Treats, praise, and endless patience transformed what should have been a nightmare into an adventure for these four-legged volunteers. When they finally got those first clear brain scans of awake, alert dogs listening to human speech, the results sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Here's what blew everyone's minds. When dogs heard words like good boy or well done, their brains lit up in almost exactly the same pattern as human brains. But it gets even more incredible. The researchers discovered that dogs have what scientists call hemispheric specialization, just like humans. Let me break this down in a way that will absolutely amaze you. When you speak to your dog, their left brain hemisphere processes the actual meaning of your words, while their right hemisphere processes your tone of voice. They're literally separating what you say from how you say it, just like you do when listening to other humans. But here's where it gets really wild. The scientists played 4 different combinations to the dogs. Praise words in a praising tone, praise words in a neutral tone, neutral words in a praising tone, and neutral words in a neutral tone. Can you guess what happened? Only when the dogs heard actual praise words delivered in an enthusiastic tone did their brain's reward center explode with activity, the same region that lights up when they get their favorite treat or belly rubs. Their brains literally knew the difference between genuine praise and fake enthusiasm. Think about what this means. When you come home and excitedly say, "Who's a good boy?" Your dog's brain is processing both the meaning of good boy and your excited tone separately, then combining them to understand that you're genuinely happy to see them. But if you said, "Who's a good boy?" in a flat, bored voice, their brain would detect the mismatch instantly. This discovery was so groundbreaking that researchers around the world started conducting similar experiments. At the University of Geneva, scientists discovered that dogs actually adjust their listening speed to match human speech patterns. When we talk to our dogs, we naturally slow down our speech, and dogs' brains are perfectly tuned to process language at that exact speed. Meanwhile, researchers in Norway made another stunning discovery. They used EEG electrodes to measure dogs' brain waves while showing them objects and saying their names. When the word didn't match the object, like saying ball while showing a frisbee, the dog's brains showed a surprise reaction, identical to what happens in human brains when we encounter something unexpected. But perhaps the most mind-blowing discovery came from a study published in Neuroimage. Scientists trained dogs to lie still in MRI machines while listening to recordings in different languages. The results? Dogs are the first non-human animals proven to distinguish between human languages. Their brains showed different activation patterns when hearing their familiar language versus foreign languages, and they could even tell the difference between actual human speech and computer-generated scrambled sounds. Let me put this in perspective for you. Your dog isn't just hearing noise when you talk. They're actively processing language using sophisticated neural networks that evolution equipped them with long before humans ever domesticated them. This suggests that the capacity for language understanding might be far more ancient and widespread in the animal kingdom than we ever imagined. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is fascinating, but what does it mean for you and your furry companion at home? Well, remember how we learned that dogs process word meaning and tone separately? This means that fake enthusiasm doesn't work. Your dog's brain can literally detect when you're being insincere. It also explains why some dogs seem to understand you better than others. Dogs with more exposure to human speech, dogs in families that talk to them regularly, and dogs trained with consistent vocabulary show stronger brain responses to language. Your dog's language center is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. But here's something that might surprise you. Age doesn't seem to matter as much as we thought. While puppies are certainly quick learners, older dogs showed similar brain activation patterns in these studies. Your senior dog's brain is still perfectly capable of learning new words and processing complex language. The implications go even further. Some researchers are now investigating whether dogs can understand grammar. The difference between bite the toy and toy bite, for example. Early results suggest that they might have at least basic grammatical understanding, though this research is still in its early stages. What absolutely fascinates me is that all of this is happening completely automatically in your dog's brain every time you speak to them. They're not trying to understand you. They just do. It's as natural for them as understanding language is for us, but if dogs can understand our words and process our emotions through tone, and their brains work so similarly to ours, then why aren't they talking back to us? Well, it turns out some dogs actually are trying to communicate with us in ways that are revolutionary, and what they're saying is absolutely incredible. When dogs started talking back, what if I told you that right now, thousands of dogs around the world are having actual conversations with their owners? Not barking, not whining, literally pressing buttons to form sentences like, "Want outside play now," or "Where dad go?" It sounds like science fiction, but it's happening in living rooms everywhere, and the implications are absolutely staggering. Meet Bunny, a sheepadoodle who has taken the internet by storm with over 8 million followers watching her talk using a board of recordable buttons. But here's what most people don't realize. Bunny isn't just a viral sensation. She's part of the largest animal communication study ever conducted, and what researchers are discovering is rewriting everything we thought we knew about interspecies communication. Picture this. Bunny walks over to her button board, deliberately presses mad, then mom, then come. Her owner, Alexis, realizes she's been ignoring Bunny while working on her laptop. Bunny literally just told her she was upset and wanted attention. This isn't coincidence or wishful thinking. It's documented, repeatable communication happening thousands of times across multiple households. The technology behind this revolution is surprisingly simple. These are recordable buttons, each programmed with a single word like outside, food, play, or love you. Dogs learn to associate pressing specific buttons with getting specific results. Press outside, the door opens. Press water, the bowl gets filled. But what started as basic needs communication has evolved into something far more complex and emotional. Dr. Federico Rossano at UC San Diego is leading the scientific study behind this phenomenon called the Clever Pet Project. They're collecting data from thousands of button-using dogs to understand if this is real communication or just very convincing button pushing. The early results? Dogs are definitely understanding and using these buttons intentionally. Here's where it gets really incredible. Bunny has started asking existential questions. She's pressed Bunny, followed by animal, multiple times, as if questioning her own identity. She's combined buttons in ways no one taught her, creating phrases like ouch stranger paw when meeting someone new who stepped on her foot. These aren't trained responses, they're creative combinations showing genuine understanding. But Bunny isn't alone. Stella, another talking dog who helped pioneer this movement, regularly forms complex sentences. She's told her owner, Christina, come outside when she wanted to play in the yard. She's pressed help, play outside when her ball got stuck under furniture. Most remarkably, she once pressed want, Jake, come now when missing her owner's boyfriend who was traveling. The scientific community was initially skeptical. This looked too much like the clever Hans effect, where animals appear to understand language but are actually reading unconscious cues from their handlers. But researchers have documented cases where dogs use their buttons correctly, even when alone, or when their owners aren't even in the room. Hidden cameras have captured dogs pressing appropriate buttons in response to sounds from outside, or when dealing with problems their owners don't even know about. Fluent Pet, the company making these button systems, now has over 60,000 families participating in their research. The data they're collecting is unprecedented. Which words dogs learn first, how quickly their vocabulary expands, what mistakes they make, and how their communication evolves over time. The most successful button-using dogs share certain characteristics. They tend to be highly social breeds. They live in households where people talk to them regularly, and their owners are consistent about responding to button presses appropriately. Age matters less than you'd think. Senior dogs have learned button systems just as successfully as puppies. But here's what really blew my mind when I dove into this research. Some dogs are showing signs of understanding syntax, the order of words mattering. They'll press outside, then play to indicate they want to play outside, but play, then outside when they want to bring their indoor toy outside. That suggests they're not just pressing random buttons, they're constructing meaningful sequences. The emotional vocabulary these dogs develop is perhaps the most touching aspect. Dogs regularly press love you spontaneously, not just in response to hearing it first. They express happy when their favorite humans come home, sad when left alone, and mad when their routine gets disrupted. Bunny has even pressed sorry after being scolded for bad behavior. Critics argue that owners might be over-interpreting coincidental button presses, seeing patterns that aren't really there. But researchers are using rigorous controls to test this. They've found that dogs press contextually appropriate buttons at rates far higher than chance would predict. When dogs are hungry, they press food. When they need to go out, they press outside. When they want attention, they press play or mom or dad. Now, I need to be honest with you about expectations. Not every dog will become a button-talking sensation like Bunny or Stella. Success depends on individual personality, dedication from owners, and sometimes just the dog's interest in this type of communication. Some dogs prefer traditional methods, body language, barking, or simply staring at you until you figure out what they want. But for the dogs that do take to button communication, the results can be profound. Owners report feeling much more connected to their pets, understanding their needs and emotions in ways they never thought possible. Dogs seem less frustrated when they can clearly communicate wants and needs instead of hoping their humans guess correctly. The setup requires patience and consistency. You start with just a few essential buttons: outside, food, water, play. You model the behavior, pressing the appropriate button while saying the word, and then providing what the button represents. Gradually, dogs start pressing buttons themselves, and you can slowly add new vocabulary. What amazes me most is how this research is revealing the emotional depth of our canine companions. When Bunny presses "Love you, Mom" unprompted, or when Stella asks, "Where, Dad?" When her owner is late coming home, we're seeing glimpses into rich emotional lives that were always there. We just never had a way to access them before. But as incredible as these talking dogs are, they represent just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to improving communication with your furry friend. Even if your dog never touches a button, the scientific discoveries we've explored reveal practical techniques that can transform your relationship with any dog starting today. The secret language. Your dog already knows. Here's something that will change how you talk to your dog forever. Right now, your furry companion understands between 150 to 250 words. They can distinguish between your genuine emotions and fake enthusiasm. Their brain processes your words and tone in separate hemispheres, just like humans do. The question isn't whether your dog understands you. It's whether you're communicating in a way that maximizes their incredible abilities. After diving deep into the neuroscience of canine communication, studying remarkable dogs like Chaser and Bunny, and examining groundbreaking brain imaging research, we now know exactly how to bridge the communication gap between species. And the best part? You can start implementing these scientifically proven techniques today. Let's begin with the most important discovery from the University of Geneva research. Pet-directed speech actually works. When you naturally raise your pitch and slow down your speech while talking to your dog, you're not being silly. You're optimizing communication. Dogs' brains are literally tuned to process language at this slower rhythm. So that baby talk voice you use with your pup? Science says keep doing it. But here's where most people mess up: consistency. Your dog's brain is building a mental dictionary of your words, but only if you use the same words for the same things every time. If you say outside on Monday, potty on Tuesday, and bathroom on Wednesday, you're confusing their language center. Pick one word for each concept and stick with it religiously. The Chaser research revealed something revolutionary about how dogs learn. They use errorless learning. This means they learn best when they can't fail. Instead of correcting mistakes, set up situations where success is inevitable. Want to teach your dog toy? Start with just one toy in an empty room. Say, "Get toy," and when they grab it, celebrate like they just won the lottery. Only when they master this add complexity. Here's a technique that will blow your mind. Teach your dog categories, not just individual words. Start with toy as a general category, then teach specific names like ball and rope. This mirrors how human children learn language and leverages dogs' natural ability to understand hierarchical concepts. When your dog masters this, they can find any toy when you say toy, but fetch the specific ball when you say ball. Remember those brain scans showing dogs process word meaning and emotional tone separately? This gives us a powerful communication tool. Use enthusiastic tone only for genuine praise. Your dog's reward center will light up like a Christmas tree. For commands, use a calm, neutral tone. For corrections, never yell. Dogs' brains show stress responses to angry tones that actually impair learning. Now, let's talk about the vocabulary expansion technique that made Chaser famous. Dr. Pilley's method was simple but revolutionary. Introduce only one new word per week. Spend the entire week using that word consistently, pairing it with the same object or action every time. Most people try to teach too much too fast and end up teaching nothing effectively. Here's something most dog owners never realize. Your dog is constantly reading your micro-expressions and body language for context clues. When teaching new words, minimize these visual cues initially. Face away from your dog, or give commands from another room to ensure they're responding to the word itself, not your gestures. Want to test if your dog truly understands a word? Try the whisper test. If your dog responds to walk, said in a whisper, they understand the word itself, not just your excited energy. If they only respond to excited shouting, they're reading your emotions, not processing language. The button research taught us something crucial about motivation. Dogs communicate more when their attempts are consistently acknowledged. Even if your dog doesn't use buttons, respond appropriately when they try to communicate through any method. This positive feedback loop strengthens their desire to engage with human language. Here's a reality check based on all the research. Your dog's language comprehension is roughly equivalent to a 2 to 3-year-old human child. They excel at concrete nouns and simple verbs, but struggle with abstract concepts and complex sentences. Saying, "Please go get your favorite blue ball from the living room and bring it to the kitchen," is beyond most dogs' processing ability. Try "get blue ball" instead. Age is less important than you think for language learning. The brain imaging studies showed older dogs processing language just as effectively as younger ones. Your senior dog can absolutely learn new words. They just need the same patience and consistency you'd give a puppy. Multiple dog households face unique challenges. Dogs can learn their individual names and respond to commands directed specifically at them, but it requires extra precision in your communication. Always use the dog's name first, pause, then give the command. Bella, sit. Instead of Bella, sit, gives their brain time to process that you're talking to them specifically. For dogs with hearing impairments, the same principles apply to visual communication. Hand signals can replace spoken words, and dogs can learn to associate specific gestures with concepts just as effectively as sounds. Here's something beautiful that emerged from all this research. The more you talk to your dog using proper language techniques, the stronger their language centers become. It's literally neuroplasticity in action. Your consistent, appropriate communication is physically reshaping your dog's brain to better understand human language. The most important insight from studying exceptional dogs like Chaser and Bunny is this. They succeeded because their humans believed in their intelligence and communicated accordingly. Your dog is far more cognitively capable than most people realize. They're not just furry robots following programmed responses. They're thinking, feeling beings with rich emotional lives and genuine language comprehension. Every time you speak to your dog, remember that their brain is working hard to understand you. They're separating your words from your tone, accessing their mental vocabulary, and trying to predict what you want or how you feel. That's not anthropomorphizing. That's neuroscience. Your dog has been waiting their entire life for you to communicate at their level. Now you know how. Start today. Choose consistent words, use appropriate tones, celebrate their understanding, and watch as your relationship transforms into something deeper than you ever imagined possible. The science is clear. Your dog really does understand what you're saying. The question is, are you ready to start talking to them like the intelligent being they truly are? If this incredible journey into canine cognition has amazed you as much as it has me, make sure you're subscribed, because there's so much more fascinating research about our animal companions waiting to be explored together.